What's up, guys? In today's video we're going to be doing an oil change on a 2013 Honda Foreman 500. Let's get into it. Alright, so I haven't done video in a long time, so forgive me. This is an oil kit I got off of Amazon. Here's the part number for the filter. I'll actually link this kit down below. It's a pretty cool kit. It came in like one day. It comes with the oil filter, 3 quarts of oil, and it's Honda branded oil with a nice little paper funnel, and it comes with a crush washer. So I guess this is the place that I bought it from. I'm going to be going through that. I'll link that down below. The ATV's out here. This is actually my work ATV. I'm going to go through the steps and changing the oil for this thing. Right now it's actually really dirty, so the first step I'm going to do is cleaning this thing up because I don't want to be messing with mud when I'm trying to put oil in and stuff, and there's dirt and grass all over it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cleaned up real fast. Okay, so now that we got it all clean, I mean, it's definitely not all clean, but I just sprayed it off with a hose and got most of the dirt and debris away from where we're going to be working. The very next step, so be pulling it up in a garage or somewhere at least where there's flat level ground. Here's the tools we're going to need. You're just going to need a 17mm socket, an 8mm socket here, a ratchet, I always, an extension if you need it. You're going to need your 3 quarts of oil, a funnel, you're going to need a crush washer, and you're going to need your oil filter. And again, here's the part number for that oil filter. This next step we're going to do is just take this seat off. It's a little handle back here. You're going to want to take each of these panels on the side off. They just pop right off like that. They have these little clips in them. If you can see there, if it'll focus there, and they just go in these little holes right there. Here's the other side. Again, it just kind of pulls off of here. Now with both of those panels off, you have access to the oil filter, which is right here. Here's your 8mm bolts. You got 3 of them right there. And then on the other side, you have access to the dipstick and the fill plug. So take the dipstick out. Look here, this oil, it's kind of dark. I'm sure it's overdue for a change. Now I didn't say, but you will need some kind of oil catch. I got this oil pan here. Because this foiler's a little jacked up because the tires, I can kind of get underneath here. You can see there's your drain bolt. It's kind of right in the center. If you pull back here, it's right in the center, right there. Right there, that's a 17mm bolt. We're going to go ahead and take that out, drain this oil. I did forget to mention, you want to go ahead and run this thing for just a couple minutes, get that oil nice and loose and warm, so it pours out a little better. Also, just go ahead and loosen your, just helps maybe drain some oil down faster. I don't know how well you guys will be able to see this. The pan here won't let the bolt fall all the way through, but there you go. Just go ahead and let it drain out. Actually, while we're waiting, we can go ahead and take our bolt here, drain bolt, and clean it off. Make sure when you take this bolt off too that the crush washer, as you can see here, comes off with it, that it doesn't stay up on top of the drain pan there. Actually, look at there. That's 2 crush washers on here. Someone didn't take it off the last time they changed the oil on this thing. This kit comes with a brand new one, so there's no reason not to change it out. Here's the drain bolt all cleaned up. On this kit, the crush washer comes on this little paper filter, which is kind of cool. Pop that sucker back on, and it's ready to go back on when she's finished draining. Okay, it looks like it's down to just dripping a little bit here, so I am going to screw this drain bolt. Again, make sure the crush washer is on it, the new crush washer. I'm not going to torque this down to the factory standard or the specs of whatever it's supposed to be. I just always tighten it hand tight first, and then just, kind of make sure it's snug with your ratchet here, but I will put the factory torque specs on the screen here for you. You want to make sure to clean up all these drips and anything that else dripping over here. That way, if it is leaking, you can tell. It might be easier now without this extension on here. I don't think you even need an extension. You probably do. Alright, that's all I'm gonna do. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to this oil filter. Make sure your pan, your catch pan underneath here is kind of underneath there. So let's crack these 8mm off of here. It might kind of be stuck on here, so you may have to wiggle it loose. Here it goes, and there goes all that oil. Let that drain out of there. And you can take this filter out of here. Also, while you're in here, you can check your O-rings here. If we get in here and look, there's an O-ring right here. There's also an O-ring on the cap here that seals this filter off. Just make sure this O-ring's okay, not cracked or anything. You should be fine. You shouldn't have to replace it every time, but if you need to, they're pretty cheap and you can order them. There's a spring right there. Don't lose that, and make sure it stays up in place right there. Notice filter seal faces out. And our filter right here, there's a seal right there, and if you look on this, it's stamped on here outside towards the filter cover, this side, and spring towards engine. Go ahead and place this in here like that. It'll kind of just sit there, and we're gonna dip my finger in this fresh oil and go around these O-rings, and I'll put a little bit on that O-ring right there, and I'll stamp this on here like that, pop it in there, and tighten these bolts down. You're gonna want to line it up and get these bolts back in here. Now again, these I'm sure have a factory torque spec. Once they're snug, so there's pretty snug, just give another turn, and don't ever over tighten because this is aluminum. I will put those torque specs up on screen though if you want to torque them down to spec. And that's your filter done. Alright, now we're back around to this side. We're gonna unscrew our dipstick and set it off to the side. We're gonna go ahead and put 2 quarts in. Well, don't do that. Now that I added the 2 quarts, I'm going to go ahead and start it, let it run for about a minute or so. Now that you've let it run for a little bit, the way to check the oil in these things is to unscrew the lid, clean off your dipstick, and do not screw it back in, just let it sit here. Pull it back out and check where it's at. Gotta add some more. Add a little bit, then check. Add a little bit, then check. Just now showing on this dipstick. For some reason now. If you look on here, you should be able to see it there. I wouldn't do much because it's right there at the very tip. Yeah, I'd say that's good. Okay, now that the dipstick is back in, the drain bolt's back in, and the oil filter is all back in, the next part is putting all these pieces back on, these side panels. Next is the seat. I'll probably have to have 2 hands to do the seat. Okay, so the very last step we got here is turning this key. If you look, it says oil change right there. That little thing popped up. To get that oil change light off, go ahead and turn your machine off. You're going to hold down this odometer trip button while you turn the key on and keep it held down for 5 seconds, and it resets your light just like that. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something in this video, and bear in mind this is my first video back in like 2 years or something. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If it helped you, thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. Thanks for watching.